In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can use formulas to dynamically figure out what has changed between two lists in Microsoft Excel. So here we have two lists of transactions, one called old and another one called new. And you want to figure out what transactions were taken out and which ones were brand new and added into the new list. To do this, first we're going to add in a couple helper columns. One called taken out and another one called added in. For example, now a transaction is taken out if it is in the old list, but we are unable to find it in the new list. To figure this out, we are going to use XLOOKUP. So we're going to try to find the old transaction in the new list and return the dollar amount of the transaction if it's able to pick it up. And we're going to also say, hey, if this is blank, if column A is blank, then we don't want it to return anything. So if this is blank, we want it to be blank. And this will make more sense in a minute or so from now. Close parentheses. And we're going to want to go ahead and lock these cells right here too. And then drag it down. Now, as you can see, for most transactions, it will return a dollar amount. But as you scroll through them, some of them it's unable to find your transaction and will produce an A. This is where the if error will come in, and we're going to say, hey, if it's an error, which is going to be an A because it can't find what it's looking for, we want it to go ahead and throw the word dropped. Or taken out, for example. Other transactions it's able to find is replaced with the word taken out. And the reason why the if this is blank is important is because it will also not find a blank cell in this list right here. So it just helps to make sure that these blank cells are not also considered like taken out per se. And a similar logic comes in for transactions that are added in the sense that if it's a transaction that shows up in the new list, but it was never in the old list, it's been added in. It's going to say equals XLOOKUP. And to look up the new transaction in the old list, and if we can't find it, we want to return the amount right here. As you can see, it cannot find the first transaction. And if we're going to want to say, well, similar thought, if this is blank, we'll have it be blank. If it's not blank, then return that. And then if error, so if it can't find what it's looking for, we want to say added in. You're going to want to lock this in right here. Like we're doing function before. As you can see, now this is locked in. One thing to know is that I can clean this up by adjusting formatting here or adding additional logic to it. If it's greater than 0, then it will be blank, for example. But for now, I'm just going to kind of keep this as is. I'm going to drag this all the way down, like so. Now from here, we're going to use the filter function to figure out which transactions were taken out, which ones were added in. So to do this, we're going to do equals filter. We want to find the old transactions wherever this has been taken out, for example. And we want to make sure that our ranges are the same length, so 297. But we want to figure out the transactions that are added back in using a similar thought process. So we do equals filter. We want to filter the new transactions wherever our helper column says added in. Like so. As you can see, these transactions were taken out and these transactions were added back in. And the last step that you want to do is make this more dynamic by dragging down your helper columns to be longer. So that way, as more transactions are posted, it will adjust accordingly, and having your filter functions also be longer so that way it will account for more transactions accordingly. So I'm going to add in some zeros, for example, in the ranges just so that way it's super long. Now that both my ranges are super long, as the transaction list changes, this will be dynamic. And here, for example, now I can go through and take out this transaction right here, that's 0006, delete. And now, for example, if I go try and take out a transaction from the new list, it will show up as taken out, and it will populate automatically as taken out. However, if I go through and I take out a transaction from this list right here, it will say, hey, this was added in. You're going to fill this in with something, so if blank doesn't throw things off, but as you can see, it shows up as being added in. And if I add something new to the list, it will also show up as added in. As said, I hope you found this to be helpful. If you did, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.